Welcome back to Literary Leap. Today we unravel Act 3, Scene 1 from Julius Caesar, the iconic turning point where power, loyalty, and betrayal collide. Witness the fateful day when Caesar ignores the warnings of doom only to be struck down by those he trusted most. Stay tuned as we explore the gripping action, timeless themes, and the unforgettable words Et tu, Brute. This dramatic scene from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar is one of the most pivotal in the play. It showcases the assassination of Julius Caesar, the emotions of the conspirators, and Mark Antony's subtle manipulation to set the stage for later chaos. It requires attention to both the language and the underlying themes of power, betrayal, and loyalty. Now, right at the beginning of this scene, the first speaker of the scene is Caesar, who refers to the soothsayer's warning in an earlier scene, Act 1, Scene 2, Beware the Ides of March. Now, he arrogantly assumes that since the day has arrived and nothing has happened, he is safe. Now, this shows his overconfidence, a trait that actually leads to his downfall. However, the soothsayer gives Caesar a chilling reminder that while the day has arrived, danger still looms. The day has not yet ended, so nobody knows when things might change. Now we have Artemidorus trying to warn Caesar by handing him a letter detailing the conspiracy against him. Caesar, however, dismisses him, showing his belief in his invincibility. Now, Roman leaders often prided themselves on indifference to personal danger. Caesar, as you can see, says, "What touches us ourselves shall be last served." So, Caesar prioritizes public matters over personal safety. Now, while this may appear noble, it also highlights his blindness to danger. Artemidorus urges Caesar to read the letter immediately, but Caesar dismisses him, calling him a mad fellow. Cassius then asks Artemidorus to put forward the petition at the Capitol and not the street. Now, here we see a little bit of suspense or tension growing. We have Popilius Lena speaking to Cassius, and he tells Cassius, "I wish your enterprise today may thrive." So, Popilius Lena hints at knowledge of the conspiracy, creating tension among the conspirators. The conspirators fear exposure but realize that Popilius does not mean to betray them. Brutus is concerned because Popilius Lena, a senator, just wished Cassius good fortune on their enterprise, which hints that he might know about the assassination plot. Cassius, of course, immediately suspects betrayal or that their conspiracy has been exposed. So the key word over here is enterprise. This shows or this refers to the assassination plan. Though the word is intentionally vague, it shows how the conspirators are cautious. They are not using the word assassination, or they are not using the word conspiracy. They are using the word enterprise. So it's a vague reference to the actual conspiracy. Cassius, of course, is filled with fear and anxiety here. But Brutus directs attention to Popilius Lena approaching Caesar, and this kind of creates a dramatic tension. Now, this line heightens the audience's anticipation, suggesting something might go wrong. Cassius, who is overwhelmed by fear, prepares for the worst. A thing to note here is that the Romans valued honor and were willing to take their own lives rather than face shame or failure. Cassius or Caesar never shall turn back emphasizes Cassius's resolve. Cassius mentions self-sacrifice, hinting at later events in the play. Now, Brutus reassures Cassius, interpreting Popilius's smile as harmless and Caesar's demeanor as unchanged. The key word here is, of course, constant. Brutus encourages Cassius to stay composed, emphasizing his own leadership qualities. So here we see Brutus is calm and logical, unlike the emotionally volatile Cassius. Now, Trebonius has been tasked with keeping Antony away from Caesar, showing the conspirators' strategic planning. They know that if Antony is around, he will do everything to thwart the conspiracy, he will do everything to protect Caesar. Now, though Antony is asked to be kept away, the irony here is that Antony, though sidelined now, will later become their greatest adversary. So, Antony is deliberately removed from the scene to prevent him from interfering, and and this kind of adds to the suspense. We now see the role of Metellus Cimber. He is the one to distract Caesar by pleading for his banished brother's repeal. The conspirators carefully orchestrate each move, ensuring Caesar remains unaware of their true intentions. Brutus directs the others to support Metellus Cimber's petition to Caesar. We also get to know that Casca is assigned to deliver the first blow during the assassination. The word "the hand" here represents action and rebellion against Caesar's authority. Caesar, however, unaware of the plot, asks if there is any matter requiring his attention. He is oblivious to the fact that he is going to be attacked and killed, and his tone reflects arrogance as if he believes himself capable of solving any problem. Now, next we see Metellus kneels and addresses Caesar with excessive praise, masking his true intent. He exaggerates Caesar's greatness. He uses the metaphor, throws before thy seat an humble heart. This kind of symbolizes submission, complete submission. And he kneels before Caesar. Now, Caesar is not very happy with the actions of Metellus Cimber, and he refers to these actions as couchings and lowly curtsies. And Caesar emphasizes that such actions are ones which are going to make ordinary men feel happy, but not someone like Caesar. So the keyword couching refers to the act of bowing or kneeling. Turn preordinance and first decree into the law of children. Caesar compares breaking established laws to the whims of children, implying instability. So we see Caesar's arrogance. He portrays himself as a ruler above influence or emotional appeals. Now, next we see Caesar using the key phrase rebel blood. Caesar insists that he is not weak or easily swayed like others, and he compares the curtsies shown by Metellus Cimbers as low, crooked curtsies and base spaniel fawning. So, thought from the true quality likens his steadfast nature to ice that cannot melt. And base spaniel fawning evokes a vivid image of submissive behavior akin to a dog's begging. Now, Caesar further goes on to say, thy brother by decree is banished, by law is banished. If thou dost bend and pray and fawn for him, I spur thee like a cur out of my way. So the key word over here is cur, which is a derogatory term for a dog, and it is used to show Caesar's contempt. I spurn thee like a cur. Caesar compares Metellus to a worthless dog to emphasize his disdain. He tells Metellus that these actions, they make him feel that Metellus is no greater than a dog, and that he is absolutely repelled by this. Caesar claims his decisions are final and just, portraying himself as unyielding. No, Caesar doth not wrong, nor without cause will he be satisfied. So here we see Caesar's excessive pride. It is evident in these lines. He believes his actions are always justified. Now, Metarasimba is not discouraged by Caesar's word. In fact, we see him appealing to Caesar by suggesting someone else might be more persuasive. And then we have Brutus pretending to join in the plea for Metellus' brother. Now, the irony over here is Brutus claims he is not flattering Caesar, but his actions are part of the deceit. Now, seeing this, Caesar is taken aback. He's shocked. He's absolutely amazed. And he's surprised. So, Caesar is surprised that Brutus, whom he trusts so deeply, is also part of this plea. And Cassius also joins and he exaggerates humility, which creates a vivid picture of submission. Now, if you notice carefully, all the conspirators feign loyalty to lower Caesar's defenses. They know that if they flatter him, if they bow before him, if they show that they are submitting before him, Caesar will lower his guards. He will not be as cautious of them as he should have been. But we see Caesar not understanding the real motive behind the conspirators. He goes on to compare himself to the northern star, a symbol of constancy and permanence. Constant as the northern star is a simile which underscores Caesar's unwavering nature. Now, the stars over here represent humanity, all of humanity. But Caesar is the only star, the northern star, which is constant. So Caesar's belief in his own infallibility actually blinds him to the dangers surrounding him. Now we have Cinna who calls out to Caesar and he kind of, says, "Oh Caesar." Now Caesar, he goes on to refer to the home of gods in Greek mythology, symbolizing his own godlike view of himself. He uses the line, "Hence wilt thou lift up Olympus." Olympus over here, as I mentioned to you, is the home of gods in Greek mythology, symbolizing Caesar's godlike view of himself. So Caesar implies that challenging him is akin to moving a mountain, or we can also say that trying to make Caesar change his decision is as much like is very similar to trying to lift up Olympus, the home of the gods, which is close to impossible. Now, Decius Brutus, he also kind of requests Caesar by saying "Great Caesar," but Caesar, he goes on to sense that Brutus's plea is futile, and all the while he is unaware of the deadly plan unfolding around him. Now, while the conspirators kept Caesar distracted with their words of flattery, with their requests, their pleas, and with their acts of submission, we suddenly see the action begin. Casca initiates the assassination, marking the climax of the play. Casca is the first to stab Caesar. This action initiates the betrayal by all the conspirators. So Casca, we see, gives agency to his hands, emphasizing the violent act. So here we see personification. Finally, we see Caesar's famous last words, "Even you, Brutus," or "Et tu, Brute." This expresses his shock and heartbreak at Brutus's betrayal. Seeing Brutus, his trusted friend among the conspirators, seeing Brutus stabbing him, Caesar is completely shocked. He realizes the depth of betrayal. Brutus's involvement in the is the ultimate blow both physically and emotionally. The words then fall Caesar emphasizes finality. It is as if to say that if someone who is as close as Brutus, someone who I have always seen as my brother, as my loyal friend, if he can go ahead and stab me, then Caesar does not deserve to live. Caesar might as well as, die, fall and die. So it emphasizes finality, the end of Caesar. As Caesar falls and dies, Cinna, one of the conspirators, jubilantly declares that the assassination of Caesar has restored liberty and freedom. He views Caesar as a tyrant whose death is a victory for the Roman Republic. Liberty, freedom, and tyranny reflect the conspirators' justification for their actions. They believe they have freed Rome from oppression. The Romans valued liberty or freedom and they detested tyranny. So, killing a tyrant was often seen as an act of honor. Cassius urges the conspirators to spread the news to the people from the pulpits, that is, the public speaking platform. The reputation of liberty, freedom emphasizes the conspirators' desire to frame their act as noble. The figure of speech over here is reputation. Liberty, freedom highlights the central theme of their motivation. Now, the public forums were key places for political discourse, and the conspirators aimed to control the narrative immediately. They had to tell the crowd, the people, the Romans, why Caesar was killed. Why was it necessary for Caesar to be assassinated? Brutus addresses the frightened senators and people, urging them to stay calm and assuring them that Caesar's death was necessary. He frames the assassination as a payment for Caesar's ambition, implying Caesar sought absolute power. Now, ambition's death symbolizes the idea that ambition leads to downfall. Casca, who is practical and direct, suggests that Brutus should address the public immediately to explain their actions. Brutus, being the most respected among the conspirators, is seen as the best spokesperson to justify the assassination. Decius adds that Cassius should also speak, acknowledging his influential role in the conspiracy. Suddenly, Brutus inquires about Publius, a senator present during the assassination. He shows concern for Publius's safety. So, this is a character insight of Brutus. Brutus emphasizes that no harm is intended towards anyone apart from Caesar, reinforcing his belief in the moral righteousness of their act. Cinna informs him that Publius was very overwhelmed by the turn of events, by the mutiny. Mutiny conveys the chaos and rebellion initiated by the conspirators. Now, Metellus advises the conspirators to stay united in case Caesar's allies or friends retaliate. Brutus reassures Publius and others that the conspirators do not intend further violence. He wants Publius to spread this message to avoid panic. Cassius suggests that Publius leave to avoid getting hurt in the chaos. Cassius shows a practical concern for Publius, though this also helps the conspirators control the situation. As in, if they move away or if they get all the people who were not part of the conspiracy away from the crime scene, they would have a better control over the situation. Brutus then insists that they take full responsibility for the assassination and no one else should suffer for their action. Brutus portrays their act as one of courage and moral duty, so he takes accountability for the action that they had done. When Cassius asks Trebonius about Antony, Trebonius reports that Antony has fled and the people are reacting with fear and panic, likening the scene to the end of the world or doomsday. So the simile over here it is as it were doomsday. It heightens the chaos and tension. Now, Brutus reflects on fate, accepting that death is inevitable. The only uncertainty is its timing. So, this philosophical outlook highlights Brutus's stoicism. The Romans believed strongly in fate, often attributing life's outcomes to the divine will. Now, Cassius rationalizes the act of killing, arguing that ending life also ends the fear of death. This is a dark but logical justification for their actions. So Brutus, we see, builds on Cassius's argument, claiming they have done Caesar a favor by sparing him the prolonged fear of death. This ironic statement reinforces Brutus's belief that their act was virtuous. Brutus invites the conspirators to ceremonially dip their hands in Caesar's blood, symbolizing their unity in the act. This echoes Roman rituals of sacrifice. So, the vivid description of blood highlights the gruesome and symbolic nature of their deed. Brutus proposes they present themselves openly to the public, holding their bloody swords as symbols of liberation. They cry peace while committing an act of violence. This is an irony. Now, this passage sets the stage for the unfolding chaos as the conspirators grapple with the consequences of their actions. It highlights the tension between their intentions and the reality of their deed, paving the way for the tragedy to deepen. So Cassius instructs the conspirators to ceremoniously wash their hands in Caesar's blood. He then reflects on the significance of their act, predicting that it will be remembered and reenacted in future generations across lands and languages yet to exist. So, this is like an exaggeration and it emphasizes the historical impact of their actions. It is as if Cassius predicts the future retelling of Caesar's assassination, which indeed becomes immortalized in plays like Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Now, Brutus wonders how often the scene of Caesar's assassination will be reenacted. He emphasizes the irony of Caesar lying dead at the base of Pompey's statue. Pompey, if you remember, being Caesar's rival whom Caesar had defeated. This is like poetic justice. It symbolizes poetic justice. Bleed in sport signifies mockery and dramatization of the event. Dust symbolizes mortality and Caesar's reduced stature in death. The choice of Pompey's statue at the site of Caesar's death underscores the tension between Caesar's ambition and Rome's history of opposition to tyranny. Now, after hearing Brutus's words, Cassius proclaims that each retelling of Caesar's death will glorify the conspirators as heroes who liberated Rome. not of us, signifies the unity and the purpose of the conspirators. Liberty versus tyranny. Cassius firmly believes their actions will be seen as a fight for freedom. Now, Decius inquires if they should proceed to address the public. Cassius agrees and declares that Brutus should lead them. He acknowledges Brutus's moral stature and suggests that they will follow him with pride. So Cassius continues to reinforce Brutus's leadership, knowing that his credibility will lend weight to their cause. Brutus notices someone approaching and identifies him as a servant of Mark Antony. The servant kneels before Brutus and delivers Mark Antony's message. Antony flatters Brutus by calling him noble, wise, valiant, and honest. He also acknowledges Caesar's greatness but balances his message by expressing his respect and allegiance to Brutus. We see the words mighty, bold, royal, and loving to describe Caesar, creating a balanced tone. Now, Antony appears diplomatic, presenting himself as submissive while subtly laying the groundwork for his next move. The servant conveys Antony's request for safe passage to meet Brutus. Antony pledges loyalty to Brutus, stating he values him over Caesar even in death. So we see the key theme of loyalty and manipulation. Antony's words are calculated to gain Brutus's trust. Antony uses his words very carefully. He wants to make sure that he is able to gain Brutus's trust. Now, Brutus acknowledges Antony's wisdom and bravery, showing no animosity towards him. Brutus grants Antony safe passage, assuring that he will leave unharmed. So, Brutus's sense of honor leads him to trust Antony, showing his naivety. Now, Brutus over here we see is unable to see through Antony's words of flattery. He does not understand that there might be some ulterior motive behind Antony's words. And the servant takes leave of Brutus and goes to bring Antony. Now, Brutus expresses confidence that Antony will support them. This trust in Antony is misplaced, which we know sets for the later conflicts. Cassius, however, expresses doubt and mistrust of Antony, suspecting he might be dangerous. Unlike Brutus, Cassius is more perceptive and skeptical of Antony's intentions. Brutus sees Antony walking in and he announces, "But here comes Antony," which means Brutus observes Antony's arrival, setting the stage for their confrontation. So, this passage highlights the growing tension between Brutus's idealism and Cassius's pragmatism. Antony's subtle manipulation foreshadows his eventual betrayal, while Brutus's misplaced trust and moral rigidity becomes his tragic flaws. The conspirators' belief in their noble cause contrasts sharply with the unfolding chaos and Antony's cunning diplomacy.